Hello everyone, today I'm going to be reacting to Earth, Wind & Fire's All in All album. If you'd like to skip right to my reaction, I will have a timestamp on the screen right here to where you guys can go to. And now on to a couple quick disclaimers. Number one, this is just my personal opinion and interpretation of all the songs. I'd love to hear yours down below, just keep respectful please. Sorry for any background noise or dust particles that may occur throughout this video. I'm going to be stopping and giving my thoughts as I go along. I'm also going to have to cut out a lot of each song due to copyright. If you see me looking down on my phone, that is just because of how the lyrics put up for each song. Lastly, if I have any else to forget to add, check down below. I might have a pinned comment. Down to track 1, Serpentine Fire. Okay, so my thoughts on the song. I really enjoyed it. They really started off the album well, and they always do that, so that's definitely something I can appreciate. Just the energy that this song had was just immaculate. I really love the horns on here, always knock it out of the park with the horns. Vocals were great. I like the lyrics. It had a really great groove to it as well, and so I can definitely appreciate that about it. I just really quite appreciated this song. Great way to start things off. About the song on Genius, it says, the meaning of the song is subtle, two interpretations need consideration. Band vocalist Philip Bailey commented on the central metaphor of the Serpentine Fire, thus, I'm not an expert on that whole thing because I had to ask Maurice White, who co-wrote the song, to explain, but the fire is actually the sex drive or the sexual impulse. That would make the song about the bass chakra, but although White was evidently responsible for the song's title, Earth, Wind & Fire keyboardist Larry Dunn credits the song's premise to Reginald Sonny Burke, an uncredited co-writer of Serpentine Fire. Burke was a soul and jazz arranger who came up through the ranks playing gospel. As in many soul and R&B artists, Serpentine Fire to him may have referred to the tongues of life which the apostles, among others, received on the day of Pentecost. This fire distributed itself into sinewy flames, giving the power of the Holy Spirit to believers that day. In support of this interpretation, the ephemeral nature of the morning glory flower, which blossoms a mere day and then fades, was noted by early Christians who believed that the morning glory was symbolic of the finite nature of life on earth for the believer, each single flower representing a believer's life, and life itself being represented by the daylight hours of the sun, the flower withering and finally dying by nightfall. Maverine du Marie. The idea of the first Easter morning has been sacred to Christians, and some of the nicknames of Jesus found in the scriptures include Dayspring, related to the morning glory, and Easter. It's up to each individual to do what is right for them. That's part of what Serpentine Fire is all about. That feeling as to whether you want to do right or do wrong, it really is up to you. Serpentine Fire itself is the name of the energy that helps you create, being a creative individual, and that's definitely affected by how you treat yourself spiritually, morally, and physically. So this was definitely an interesting thing to find out, a different meaning than was expected, and there's actually two meanings to it, which is definitely interesting, and this is why I go on Genius to learn these things, because listening to the song I wouldn't have thought that it meant what it did, but definitely some food for thought. Now to track 2, Fantasy. Okay, so my thoughts on the song. Killer track overall. I really liked the way that it started. I thought that it was cool. I thought it was going to be a slower track, right? And then the way that it completely switched up was something that was unexpected, but I quite enjoyed it. And I love whenever songs do that. They make you think it's going to go one way and then they completely switch it up. And so it was just a very cool track overall. Really like listening to it. The instrumentation on here is phenomenal. I love everything that's going on in terms of that. I really like the chord progressions that they use. Very intriguing to listen to. I thought the vocals were great to listen to as well. I like the lyrics for this track. Probably going to be a favorite for me on this album. Now on to track 3, In the Marketplace, Interlude. Okay, so my thoughts on this track, it was definitely something that was interesting. I really like what was going on in terms of the music and the cadence of the song. The vocals were good, something that was pretty short. Really excited to listen to this album in full after this video and not have to stop in between the songs. And just to hear how it transitions into the rest of the album is definitely going to be something that is interesting. And now to track 4, Jupiter. Okay, so my thoughts on this track, absolute banger. Really loved listening to it. The horns were really cool, particularly. I think that's what stood out to me most on this particular track. I really loved the vocal and the vocal delivery. Something that was so pleasant to listen to overall. I really like the other instrumentation. I like the songwriting on here. Probably going to be another favorite for me on this album. And it also had a great groove on it as well, which I can appreciate. And now to track 5, Love's Holiday. Okay, so my thoughts on this track. I thought that this was excellent overall. Just a great R&B song. And so I just thought that the vocals on this were superb to listen to. The instrumentation here was fitting, and I just really love what they were doing in terms of that. I think that the lyrics are great. Probably going to be another favorite for me on this record. And now on to track 6, Beijo, Interlude. Okay, so my thoughts on this, it was good. I could definitely appreciate it for what it was. Good vocals and instrumentation on here. Now to track 7, I'll Write a Song for You. so my thoughts on the song, absolutely beautiful to listen to. I thought the vocals on here were mesmerizing, very impressive. I just love everything that was going on here. Probably the best vocal performance on this album so far, in my personal opinion. And then I could also appreciate the harmonies in here as well, and the attention to detail there. Those were so satisfying to listen to. And I love when I listen to a song, I'm just thinking like, oh, a harmony will take this to the next level, or if it just pops up randomly, I'm like, this is exactly what the song needed. So the harmonies on the song were great. I also thought that the instrumentation was splendid on this track. In the beginning, it was reminding me a little bit of the Beatles, a song from their White Album called Julia. And I think that they were just using like similar picking patterns that the Beatles did. I don't know if the chord progressions are similar, maybe they are, maybe that would explain it. But that's definitely something that was reminding me of the Beatles a little bit. But I thought that was cool. I love the Beatles. I can't stand any of them besides Paul McCartney. I can appreciate the music, but that was definitely something I thought was worth noting. I thought that the songwriting on here was great and definitely going to be another favorite for me on this album. And now onto track 8, Magic Mind. Okay, so that part with the instrumentation sounded extremely familiar. I know that I've heard this before. For the life of me, I cannot remember where it was. So maybe I've heard this song before and I forgot what it was, or maybe this part was sampled in something else, but that part is very, very familiar. If you guys know where this has been used, like samples or television or commercials or whatever it is, please let me know down below in the comments, because now it's bothering me that I cannot remember what this is, but that is something that's very cool. I didn't know that this came from Earth, Wind & Fire. Learn something new every day, but let's continue. Okay, so as I continued listening to the song, I kept thinking about where I heard that specific sound because it was really bothering me, and I realized I probably heard it on TikTok. I believe it was this one sound that is like, what are 10 albums you could listen to for the rest of your life? And then people are always doing that, so I always see it on like my For You page and stuff. I'm really glad that I have it linked because it was really bothering me. But of course, if this was used in any movies or TV shows or anything like that, still leave it down below in the comments because I'd definitely be curious. But I wanted to talk about that before I got into my thoughts on the rest of the song. So I thought that this song was a very entertaining listen overall. Instrumentation was stellar all the way throughout. I really liked how towards the ending there was that one section where it was just the horns doing the thing. I thought that that was super cool. I could also appreciate the vocals on this track, and I like the lyrics on it as well. Something that was enjoyable to listen to overall. And now on to track 9, Runnin'. Okay, so my thoughts on this, I really appreciated it. I really can appreciate whenever artists have an instrumental on the album, and it's just something that is so fascinating to listen to, something that's so intriguing. I really love the production on here, of course. I really love all the instrumentation on this track, giving the horns a moment to shine once again with some trumpets, with some saxophone, just everything that was going on here was super cool. I like the vocals as well. And then there's this one part where I believe that they could be sampling themselves. I'm completely open to being wrong about this. Correct me down below in the comments in terms of that. But I thought that that part was cool, and I just really liked it overall. On to track 11, Brazilian Rhyme, aka Ponta de Areia. Okay, so my overall thoughts on that, good. I could appreciate it for what it was. I believe that there was like some flutes used on there or some kind of other instrument that's like similar to that. So I thought that that was cool to listen to, something that was peaceful overall. And now into the 11th and final track, Be Ever Wonderful. Okay, so my thoughts on this track, I thought that it was something that was stunning to listen to overall in terms of the vocal performance. I also really love the instrumentation and the groove that it had, of course. I really appreciate the lyrics on it too, and I felt like this was the perfect closer for the album. Now I wanted to share my favorite songs on the album with you based off of my first listen. So I'm going to say Fantasy, I remember really liking. I believe I liked Jupiter as well, so I'll probably add that one on. Did I really like Love's Holiday? I might have really liked that one to add on. I also really liked I'll Write a Song for You, probably throw in Magic Mind as well. And I feel like that's already a lot of favorites, so I'm gonna cap it off there. And of course, this is just how I'm feeling now. My opinions can change over time. And now I wanted to share my overall thoughts on this album with you based off of my first listen. So whenever I did videos on Earth, Wind & Fire in the past, there was people telling me like, oh, you have got to check out this album. This is definitely their best work. And listening to it, I would definitely agree with them. I can see why. They're just on fire all the way throughout this album, track after track after track. And it's just excellence all around, so I really love this album. I thought that the vocal performances on here were spectacular. Really quite enjoyed listening to those. The instrumentation on here was definitely something that was splendid to listen to all the way across this album. All the different chord progressions and instruments used was something that was really fascinating to me. And I think that the songwriting on here is great, something that's fitting for each track, and I can appreciate how their vocal delivery made it work as well. And overall, I just think that Earth, Wind & Fire is an extremely talented group, so it's always a pleasure to get to listen to one of their albums, of course. And I just love whenever I listen to their music how happy it makes me feel, so I just really appreciate them. This is an album I would highly recommend if you have not listened to it already, something that was so enjoyable to listen to from front to back. And this is a video I've been looking forward to doing for a bit, and this month I was like, okay, it's finally time to do another video on Earth, Wind & Fire, so very excited to be doing this video today. In terms of my journey with their music, I started off with their That's the Way of the World album, and I've also listened to I Am and Raise as well, and I've enjoyed all three of those records. I definitely think that this is their strongest from track to track, and just as a body of work, it was something that was really enjoyable to listen to. If you wanted to see the videos I've done on Earth, Wind & Fire in the past, I will have a card on the screen right here tier to where you guys can check that out. It'll be at the end of this video and link down below in the description if you're interested as well, of course. Also, I'd love to know which album you guys think that I should react to next. Leave a comment down below and plead your case there, because that's something that I'd be very interested in, of course. And I'd also love to know what you guys think of this album. What are your favorite songs? What are your memories with this album? Any important information on this album that you think would be interesting to add to the conversation? Leave it down below because I would love to read them. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, give it a like down below. It helps me out a lot in the YouTube algorithm. I very much appreciate it. You guys can also subscribe right down below if you want to see more videos like this. If you hit the bell, you get a notification to your phone when I post, so you not miss when brand new videos come out. I'm also going to have Twitter, my Instagram, and my Spotify, and I'm also going to have my TikTok as well. I made a community post about this recently, but basically I'm going to start trying to use my TikTok a lot more. So recently, for example, I've been doing rankings of like Taylor Swift stuff, so like all the track 1s in her album. I've done track 2, and more is to come. So if you want to see more music related content over there, then definitely follow me on my TikTok. Again, link down below in the description. Also going to have a link to stream this record if you're interested. Again, I'd highly recommend it. And lastly, links to educate you guys on important situations. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.